Everything you've been told about creating your reality and the life you want is backwards. You've done it all. The affirmations, you visualize, all the hard work, and yet something still feels off. Like you're living two different lives. One the world sees and one only you know. On paper, you're successful, but internally, you feel that despite all your achievements, you're still not the real you. Hey, I'm Max Baker, and even before I developed the Power of One Limitless system, I've worked with hundreds of creators, busy professionals, and high achievers just like you who discovered why conventional approaches to manifestation and self-development hit a ceiling. In the next couple of minutes, I'll show you why the reality you're experiencing does not match who you really are and the one shift that changes everything. This is not another technique to add to your spiritual box. It's not about more knowledge to clutter your mind. It's about understanding the fundamental code behind reality and creation itself. Let me ask you something. Where do you think your thoughts come from? If you're like most people, you were taught that they arise from neurons and gray matter, that consciousness is something your body generates, and that what we call spirituality comes later as a byproduct of evolution and imagination. And that's completely normal. This model is hammered into our minds every day, everywhere. It's taught in schools, embedded in media, and brainwashed into our minds unknowingly by our parents. But it's fundamentally inverted. It's a complete reversal of how reality actually works. I call it the Great Inversion. The real flow of reality begins with consciousness, not the other way around. Consciousness is not something matter produces. It's what gives rise to matter in the first place. So your brain does not create thought, it receives them. It tunes into frequencies, archetypes, ideas, and concepts, and broadcasts them into existence. This is not just a misunderstanding. It's a design distortion. It's a phase cancellation of your source frequency that was meant to create a life of infinite possibilities for you. From the time you could speak, you were taught that you're just flesh and neurons trying to make sense of random chaos. That life is something to figure out, survive, and maybe, if you're lucky, enjoy. But the nature of this idea robs you of purpose and authorship. It locks you into the trance of reaction, chasing control, interpreting noise, and inverting consciousness creation with coincidence. You move through the world responding to circumstance instead of creating from vision. When you remember who you really are, something cracks. You realize you were never the origin. You were always the instrument, a receiver through which something greater moves. And that's the shift I'm here for. And when that shift happens, control gives way to clarity, limiting beliefs lose their grip, and survival becomes purpose. You stop bracing against life and begin broadcasting what's meant to move through you. So think about it. Have you ever had an insight that seemed to come from nowhere? A solution that downloaded when you were not even thinking about the problem? A creative breakthrough that felt like it came through rather than from you? That's because it did. You momentarily tune into the master frequency, the source signal. Consciousness, thought, emotion, action, manifestation. This is the true hierarchy of causality in the life we experience. This is the reality code. And understanding and embodying its principle truly changes everything for you in all aspects of your life. Let me break this down with an analogy. Your smartphone does not create the content you consume. It receives it. The music you stream, the videos you watch, the messages you receive, they all exist in the field your device tunes into. You receive the data and your phone decodes it with its local software into notes or color pixels. Then it gets transmitted to you. Your brain and human body function exactly the same way. Your brain is a sophisticated receiver, the most advanced biological antenna ever created. It does not produce original thought. It tunes into them from what I call the mental plane, a shared field of knowledge all humans have access to. This is not philosophy. It's the true physics of reality, and it explains phenomena that the conventional model can't. Let me give you a couple of examples. Why similar ideas emerge simultaneously across the globe. How intuitive insight arrived fully formed. why creative inspiration feels like it's coming through rather than from you, the shared patterns in near-death experiences across cultures. Ideas and archetypes in the mental plane don't carry meaning on their own. They're neutral, pure potential with no built-in significance. Meaning isn't universal or objective. It only exists locally inside your lived experience, your DNA, and your cells that store and apply meaning. The signal received and broadcast is clean until it gets tainted with the filters of your beliefs, scripts, and personal history. Your traumas, your memories, your survival patterns. This is what shapes how you interpret the code. And what you interpret and gives meaning to codes the signal you broadcast. Where you focus your receiver in the hierarchy of causality, from body to mind to source signal, determines the level of reality you experience. But it doesn't stop there. The meaning you assign to what you receive becomes the modulation of your broadcast, and the broadcast is what life mirrors back to you. Every human broadcasts a unique electromagnetic signature, a combination of their conscious thoughts, subconscious beliefs, emotional patterns, and embodied frequency. And this signature isn't just metaphorical. Your heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in your body, measurable up to 10 feet away, and your DNA acts as a resonant antenna, receiving vibrational information from the field and broadcasting your emotional and belief-based frequency back into it. And that influences the blueprint of your lived experience. If you know what cymatics are, this is cymatics, the study of visible sound. When sound waves pass through matter, they organize it into coherent patterns. Higher frequency create more complex, beautiful patterns. Lower frequency creates simpler, more chaotic ones. Your life is a cymatic pattern shaped by your frequency. Your relationships, your health, your physical body, your financial situation, your creative output, all of them forming in response to the signal you're broadcasting. But here's the breakthrough. Most people aren't transmitting their authentic highest signal. They're broadcasting low voltage distortion shaped by external factors. Limiting beliefs installed in childhood, trauma response locked in the nervous system, cultural programming running on autopilot, inherited fears and patterns never questioned. These distortions are not your fault, but they are now your responsibility. Because until you clear them, your reality will keep reflecting them back to you regardless of how much kale you eat and how many vision boards you create or affirmations you recite. Your subconscious is not trying to sabotage you. It's simply broadcasting what it's been programmed to broadcast from day one. And the matrix of reality is mirroring it back with perfect fidelity. Like your Instagram feed is showing you more of your doom scrolling. So if your reality is being created by your broadcast, and your broadcast is distorted by programming you didn't consciously choose, what's the solution? This is where the Power of One Limitless system comes into play. And make no mistake, it's not another self-improvement program. It's signal realignment. So the process works in 3 phases. Let me show you how to permanently exit the loop using the 3R recoding process from the Power of One. So the first step is to recognize the nature of the reality you live in. You're not your thoughts, emotions, or patterns. You are consciousness receiving and broadcasting through them. This is not spiritual bypassing. It's recognizing the correct order of causality in your life. This is the theory phase of the program in week 1, where we move fast and deep through the mechanics of reality creation, stripping it down to what actually matters, so you can start applying it with precision. Phase 2 is recognition. Identify your distorted patterns. So once you've reconnected with your true nature as the receiver broadcaster, you can begin to objectively identify the specific distortion patterns corrupting your signal. Surviving scripts from childhood, cultural programming, trauma responses, mental filters and beliefs, emotional charges attached to neutral concepts. These patterns are not random. They follow predictable frequencies that you can learn to recognize and release. A deep reset designed to collapse old scripts and clear space for the real you to emerge. And finally, step 3 is recoding. Reset your broadcast through daily realignment. The final step is to replace your old signal with a clear, coherent broadcast aligned with who you truly are and what you're here to create. This is not positive thinking. It's about frequency recalibration and retraining your nervous system to emit a different signal by shifting the way you think, move, feel, and speak. You'll see physical recalibration, so clearing the static from the body through hydration, targeted nutrition, and movement that restores signal clarity. You'll have neurological recoding, so rewriting the subconscious scripts using precise language patterns and daily mental reprogramming. Electromagnetic alignment that will help straightening heart-brain coherence to stabilize and amplify your core frequency, and field activation, so practicing simple ritual that lock you into higher frequencies where self-sabotage can't survive. This is where your signature frequency stabilizes and the shift becomes permanent, not because you force the circumstances in your outer world, but because your entire system starts broadcasting something new. So let me share a brief example of how this works. One of my clients in the prior version of the Power of One I used to run a couple of years ago came to me feeling completely disconnected from his apparent success. So despite of having everything he thought he wanted, he felt numb, anxious, and incapable of enjoying what he's built. Through the teachings that now became the Power of One Limitless system, we discovered that his entire reality was being broadcasted through a childhood frequency pattern of I'm only valuable when I'm achieving. So his subconscious was coding his life through that distortion. When the signal says I'm only valuable if X or Y, the matrix responds with more reflection of unworthiness. This is the math of reality. The field mirrors the frequency, not the hope behind it. And ironically, it will always give you more of what you're running away from until you change the code. As we identified and cleared this pattern and returned his broadcast to his authentic signal, something remarkable happened. Without changing his external circumstances, his entire experience transformed. The anxiety dissolved, his relationship deepened, and his creativity expanded. Most importantly, he finally felt like himself. This was not positive thinking. This was not a mindset shift. It was a fundamental recoding of his reality at the level of signal. And it's available to you too. Now, I want to give you one powerful practice you can implement immediately to begin shifting your broadcast. I call it the frequency audit, and it's the first step in reclaiming authorship of your reality. For the next 24 hours, become a witness to your own vibrational output. First, notice your words, both spoken aloud and in your internal dialogue. What phrase do you repeat through the day? I can't, I always, this is too hard, I've got this, I choose, I'm creating. Secondly, feel your body response when you speak or think. Does your chest tighten or expand? Does your breathing become shallow or deep? Like sand in the speaker with cymatics, your body never lies about the frequency you're broadcasting. And third, track resonance patterns. What situation, people, or environments seem to match your state? What experience keeps repeating? These are cymatics in action, the physical manifestation of your vibrational signature. For example, I might notice myself thinking, I don't have enough time, a common broadcast for a lot of high achievers. When I say this phrase, I immediately feel tension in my shoulders and my breathing becomes shallow. And when I track the resonance pattern, I notice that this thought creates rushing, overwhelm, and ironically, experiences that seems to confirm I never have enough time. Don't judge what you discover, simply observe. This awareness alone will begin to shift your relationship with the signal you're broadcasting. So we've covered a lot in this video. We talked about the Great Inversion, how consciousness creates reality, not the other way around. Your brain as a receiver, not a generator of thought and experience. Your unique frequency signature and how it shapes your reality. The reality code, the true hierarchy of causality. And a practical first step to begin recoding your broadcast. But this is just the beginning. The gap between who you really are and the life you're experiencing isn't a punishment or a failure. It's simply feedback from the field showing you where clearing is needed. The power of one is about remembering the truth. You're not your thoughts, you're not your patterns, you're not your past. You are the one, the consciousness behind the broadcast, capable of tuning into any frequency you choose. If you're tired of knowing better but repeating the same loops, if you've achieved outer success but still feel disconnected from your authentic self, if you're ready to stop trying harder and start broadcasting clearer, subscribe to the Signal newsletter in the comments below if you're interested in the Power of One program beta tests. By subscribing to the newsletter, you'll stay informed of when the program is ready and when it's ready for the beta tests. Remember, every day you continue broadcasting your old frequency is another day you're recreating the same reality you're trying to escape. You can change the station you're tuned in anytime you decide to remember who you really are, a conscious co-creator of reality. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.